Welcome. We're going to take you on an inside tour of the Penn Vet Working Dog Center. We're going to show you things that you wouldn't be able to see even if you were here in person, and we really are excited to share them with you now. We're going to start our tour at the very beginning. Our roots are in search and rescue. We come from the legacy of 9/11, and so many of our dogs do move on to search and rescue careers. And what I'd like to show you here is that progression from the time when our puppies come at 8 weeks of age to the time that they're actually mature graduates. We're going to show you some of those key steps and how those dogs evolve, and also declare that this is the career that they want to follow.
I'm Pat Conarolu, and I am the training manager here at the Penn Vet Working Dog Center. We love to start our puppies in their search and rescue training here in our training room. It's really a lot of fun to watch that puppy for the first time understand that we want them to find somebody, tell us by barking, and then receive their toy. One of the things that's really important is for us to understand what's going to motivate this dog through its career. And so in the very beginning, we let the puppy do a toy choice. You can see that we've got a nice big basket here for the puppy, and we're just going to let her pick the one she wants, and that'll be the one that the hider uses. The first dog that you see is able to do this with a visual runaway. We want to make it really easy and clear, and the criteria just at a level that the dog can understand in the beginning stages. Then we move to something that's a little more challenging. We put 2 bark barrels out. The dog now has to use his nose instead of his eyes. So he starts out of sight, runs into the training room, must check out to find the barrel that has the odor of the person. Once he locates it and barks, guess what? He gets his toy and the best party ever happens. As the dogs progress, we now take this environment and make it a little bit more challenging. We can control a lot in this training room and can make sure that we're not over-challenging the dog, but bridging those skills that they need to move on. So the dog that you're seeing now, the bark barrel will be hidden because we don't want a visual cue for this dog. We want the dog to be able to use their nose and go through the challenges of all the debris that's in front of that bark barrel, because that's exactly what that dog is going to encounter if they're in a real disaster. So now that we've watched the dogs here in our training room, let's head outside and see what their challenges are like when they're actually on our rubble pile. What we have to work on is the duration of bark. So the first dog that you see is a young dog coming out, working in our open area, and does a few barks. We're really happy with that because eventually we need these dogs to bark for 30 seconds, as you see in the second dog. And that dog stays focused for about 25 barks. What we've learned is that if we only allow the dog to stay really close to the door, the scent picture for the dog is very different than what they're really going to encounter when they're in a rubble pile. So the way we train this here at the Penn Vet Working Dog Center is we have a bark barrel that's in a cage. And in that cage, the dog sees that there's a bark barrel, understands the game, but now can't get as close. And so these are our foundation trainings to teach the dog to find diffused odor. The next search that you're going to see is a bark barrel up on top of some pallets. It's really important for the dogs to be able to negotiate rubble and concrete and give us a great bark alert in that environment. We also want to make sure that they're going to traverse this rubble and be confident and be able to locate somebody that is very diffused and hidden in a lot of debris. And we even have a school bus at the Penn Vet Working Dog Center. We love that because what we can do is bridge the skills of taking that dog who's learned to climb a ladder and bridge it to the fact that now he's got to go find somebody.
Not all of our dogs get to be search and rescue dogs, but all of the dogs at the Penn Vet Working Dog Center are detection dogs, and they need to establish an odor response, which means they need to learn how to identify odor, how to find odor. In order to train them to do that, we use a synthetic chemical called the Universal Detection Calibrant, or UDC. It allows the dogs to learn all of the mechanics without committing them to a specific odor until they're ready to graduate and identify what career they're actually going to be in.
My name is Bob Doherty, and I am the Law Enforcement Canine Training Coordinator for the Penn Vet Working Dog Center. So the training of our detection comes in when the puppies arrive at 8 weeks. We begin the process of imprinting the puppies on UDC. So what that looks like is getting the puppies to match an odor with a reward. They then move that puppy to what we call scent wall. So what we'll do is we'll have one tube that has odor in it and another tube that may be empty, or we'll have what we call a distractor. A distractor could be anything you can imagine that the dog could face that doesn't smell like the target odor. Eventually, the dog will work the entire wall. So we have now taught a puppy to find odor while they search. The dog is always challenged with different distractor odors, but only gets paid for that target odor. And so what happens is there's a behavior change in the dog. When the dog finds its target odor, it will basically freeze. It'll stop at that odor, and then we'll time it to where the dog gets a reward, and then that will continue really for the rest of its life here in training. One of the other things that we provide is a lot of environmental challenges for our dogs, and that could be stressors that may match what they could find on the street. So one of the reasons we provide them with these challenges is that they're not faced with it the first time that they're on the street in a career job. So at some point, after the wall has been done, we move to vehicles, where we'll put the target odor on a vehicle at a place that's very simple for the dog to find it. Eventually he comes to the vehicle that has the odor placed on it, and then at that point he went into his final alert, which for that dog is a freeze and stare at the source of the odor, and then rewarded. So in a nutshell, that's the process for getting a 8-week-old puppy to search in the real world.
So now we're going to take you to the inside view of our law enforcement program. These dogs are going to be doing all sorts of important work, including criminal apprehension and scent detection. In this episode here, we're going to show you how these dogs evolve and how we make sure that this is the right career for the dogs that pursue law enforcement.
When a puppy enters our program and it looks like that puppy is going to go into the law enforcement side and eventually become a police dog, one of the things that we need to know is if that dog will bite. So although it's not natural for a dog to want to bite a person, in training police dogs, we need to do that in a controlled way that the dog learns how to do it properly and safely. What you see is a dog early on in her career that we're teaching to bite and hold prey. What we're looking for in the law enforcement program is a full grip bite, the dog's willingness to be a little possessive of it, and then of course make the game fun. So that as we progress the dog up further, it's still the same game, but we've changed the rules quite significantly. We look at a lot of different things when they're doing this, but basically if we see what we need to see, we progress them through different equipment and different levels of connection with the human being to where eventually we're teaching them really how to bite a human being, which is not natural for a dog to do. So one of the jobs of a police dog is to find someone who's perhaps broken into a building and is hiding in a building. To do that, the dogs are supposed to be under control and quiet. One of the things that we do here at the Working Dog Center on the law enforcement side of our program is to provide support for our law enforcement teams that come from the state of Pennsylvania and departments in New Jersey. We support over 40 teams in patrol, single purpose, and arson. What you saw today was basically a mock felony car stop where somebody commits a violent felony, the police get involved. So immediately upon the vehicle coming to a stop, the first suspect fled the vehicle, throwing a weapon into the grass and continued to run away. The first dog was used basically as part of their backup. So the dog was there for the officer's safety and to be used if it had to be used. The passenger who was compliant was extracted from the vehicle using a lot of verbal commands from the police and taken into custody. The driver was non-compliant, refused to exit the vehicle, and the police probably had enough information to know that they could use the dog lawfully for an arrest or a bite. That dog was sent on a long line to the driver's side door and bit the driver in the leg. And at that point, the police officers extracted that person using the long line and then effecting an arrest. Once that was over, the dog's job is basically done, and they can then secure and put that dog away. The second dog was brought out to track human odor from the point of departure, which was the vehicle, to an end point where that person was laying down in some trees. That dog was used to track that person's odor, and then what the police officers did was make an arrest with a surrender. That person surrendered, they took him into custody, the dog was secured. Once that was all over, they had a gun that they had to find, so another dog was brought out. That dog was sent on what we call an article or an evidence search, whereby the dog goes out, uses his nose to find pretty much human odor left on that gun. In this case, the dog is taught to, once he finds that, is to down on that piece of evidence so that it could be collected. All of that training comes into play when real life things happen, like a felony car stop.
So many people recognize the Penn Vet Working Dog Center as being a center for training dogs and amazing dogs, but it's all based in research. We really are a research and education center. And what we do here is we collect information so that we can improve the dogs from the performance, their health, their welfare. We have three main areas that we focus on in our research. One is olfaction. Anything that has to do with how the dog smells, what the dog's smelling, and how effective they are. The second is cognition and behavior, and we're very interested in that from a genetics perspective and also from an applied behavior perspective. And then our third component encompasses our sports and performance medicine. How do we physically enhance the performance and health of these working dogs and keep them working and keeping them safe? Now you're going to get to see all different aspects of those research pillars.
Hi, my name is Dr. Amrita Mallikarjun, and I'm a postdoctoral researcher at the Penn Vet Working Dog Center. In our olfaction studies, we study how our dogs and their incredible sense of smell can sniff out diseases like COVID-19, chronic wasting disease, and cancer. Here we see Yari and his handler Katie Brennan, who both took one of our citizen science courses here at the center, participating in our chronic wasting disease study. Our cognitive studies help us better understand how dogs learn and problem solve. Here we see Helen, one of our research dogs, doing the impossible task, which is a box that Helen cannot open, and we are examining the different kinds of strategies that she uses to try and get it open. We also conduct regular tests throughout a dog's life to help determine what kind of career would best suit that dog, and to help us answer the question, what factors can best predict the success of a working dog?
So our third pillar is canine sports medicine and performance, and that spans everything from our research to clinical service. In our research, we're asking the question, how do we make sure our dogs are fit enough, strong enough to do the incredible feats that they need to do, to have the agility, to have the proprioception, to maneuver in dangerous situations like rubble piles or in scary places that they might be asked to work. In that component of sports medicine, not only are we looking at the research, but we're looking at how these dogs recover from any kind of injury. Can we actually enhance their physical fitness? Can we provide them with an opportunity to return to work more quickly and more safely?
Hi, I'm Dr. Megan Ramos. I'm a sports medicine and rehabilitation resident here at the Penn Vet Working Dog Center. I started at the Working Dog Center as a volunteer and then progressed after veterinary school to become a resident. Here we do a foundational fitness program that's called Fit to Work. Fit to Work program focuses on hind limb stability, mobility, strength, as well as posture and proprioception for our puppies. We have a series of exercises that the dogs do in order of their level. In each exercise, we tailor it to the age of the dog. So you'll notice with our youngest dog, Polly, we've tailored it to her expertise and her fitness level. As the dogs get older and more comfortable, we change the exercise to make it harder and more advanced to target those exercises while keeping it safe for our dogs.
I am excited to tell you today about how we are bridging the skills that you saw in our Fit to Work program into our agility to develop our dogs into great athletes that are able to handle rubble and law enforcement training as well. We're in the blue room right now to show you how our little puppies develop these initial skills, and then we'll take you outside so you can see how they've progressed. You know, they're not here to learn how to climb a ladder, but they're here to learn how to use their back legs. They're here to go through a tunnel because they need to understand how to travel in a dark space. And then when they travel on our unstable surfaces, it's giving them the confidence that when they're up on a rubble pile and it moves, they're okay and they'll know how to handle themselves. Here we are outside in our agility area. You can see that out here, the level of difficulty is quite different than what you saw inside. Here we see the trainer taking the dog through this figure eights and doing its stretch so the dog is ready and warmed up in order to perform agility. Here we have the handler heeling, and it's able to have control and be able to follow the directions of a left, right, and turn. Now the dog is going to move into bridging the skills which are so important of direction and control with agility. The handler takes the dog and puts it up onto an object, sends the dog back to another object, goes through the tunnel, brings the dog back towards her, heads over to another object, and then walks our unstable surface. Again, taking that dog through those skills that it'll need to pass our fundamental skills assessment. As we're keeping track of our dog's development, we make sure that we're following our skills assessment sheet, which gives us a great idea of where the dog is currently at in its training and progressing along till it's ready to be placed with its handler in its new job. So here we have our dog doing some of the FSA skills with a lot more control. The dog is able to heel with its trainer up to the ladder, go across the high plank, come down the tires, and then go up a teeter-totter, which is a really important skill because that's showing the dog that if the earth moves and that you can find that fulcrum and balance and ride it down, you're going to be fine when the same thing happens to you in a rubble pile. The law enforcement dogs that we have start with the same exact skills that we do with our USAR dogs, but then they're required to do some different obstacles that they would see in a PD1 on their certification. So here we have a dog doing the A-frame, going through the catwalk, and then doing the hurdles as well as the jumps. And these are all skills that are important for our patrol dogs. And they're also showing you how a dog that's fit and competent and confident can execute these obstacles.
The Penn Vet Working Dog Center Sports and Performance Medicine Service caters to our local working dogs and sporting dogs to help get them back to peak physical fitness, as well as return from injury and our return to work fitness programs. Unlike our companion dogs, our elite working dogs are like Olympic athletes. So when we rehab them back from injury, we have to make sure that they're ready to apprehend criminals, traverse rubble, instead of just going on walks or hanging on the couch with their owners. Our dogs deserve our next level of commitment and care to their fitness and return to work.
How you doing? My name is Matt Snyder. I work with the Upmore Police Department. I came to Penn Vet Working Dog Center with my agency to continue our education and training canines. During the course of my career, Canine Maximus developed a middle rear leg injury, which caused him to limp. Through the injury and a meeting with Penn Vet Working Dog Center, the Fit to Work program has exponentially improved Maximus's workability. He went from limping on a daily basis to limping on a monthly basis to no longer limping on his rear hind leg. And I think that was due to the excellent staff helping me out here at the Working Dog Center and of course Dr. Ramos. Also, I want to add that through this program, I believe our relationship, the bond that I've built with Maximus has only increased because the Fit to Work program is a very hands-on experience and you're right there with your dog through the whole program. I believe we built a better bond between the two of us, and in turn, our relationship has gotten exponentially better. I'm very grateful for the experience I have with the University of Pennsylvania Penn Vet Working Dog Center.
Hi, I'm Ruth Desiderio. I'm the Volunteer and Outreach Coordinator here at Penn Vet Working Dog Center. And I want to tell you about some of the people who help us do the things that we do. We couldn't do any of it without our volunteers, our interns, and our externs who work side by side with staff in all aspects of the center. from videotaping training to handling and caring for the dogs, keeping the center moving, keeping it clean, and keeping it safe. Our intern program is primarily composed of intersession internships, which can happen during the typical academic calendar year, or summer internships. Of particular importance is our relationship with the Drexel University Co-op program. The Drexel interns are with us for a period of 6 months, and they're here 20 hours a week, so they are truly working side by side with staff. Our externs come from not only Penn Vet School, but from vet schools all over the country. And during their 2 to 4 week rotation, they experience every aspect of working dog medicine. And as is the culture here at Penn Vet Working Dog Center, they disseminate their knowledge or areas of interest that they've found through a lunch and learn that is shared with the rest of the village. Last but not least, I have to talk about our amazing corps of volunteers. There are volunteers who come here every morning on their way to work to help open the center, to make sure that everything is ready for the day when the dogs are being dropped off. We have volunteers that are here during the middle of the day and support the training of the dogs, helping the trainers to set up and take down equipment, filling up treat bags, cutting up little pieces of cheese, doing the laundry, just keeping things going. And then we have another corps, and perhaps some of the same people, that come and help us clean at the end of the day, so that everything is clean and ready for the next day. We couldn't do any of this without our amazing interns, externs, and volunteers.
We couldn't have the dogs without all of the amazing breeders who've donated these dogs to us. And we really are appreciative of their support and their faith in us to take their dogs to the very best careers possible. Because our dogs don't stay in kennels. They live with families, and they go home in the evenings and on the weekends, and they learn how to live with a family so when they graduate, they can adapt very quickly with their handler. For us, that bond and that relationship is so important and so much a part of our core values. It couldn't happen without our fosters.
Hi, my name is Sarah Galley, and I'm the foster program coordinator here at the Penn Vet Working Dog Center. During training, our dogs attend school Mondays through Fridays. Our fosters drop off their dogs daily between 7 and 9 a.m. and pick up their dogs between 4 and 6:30 p.m. Before and after training and on weekends, our dogs live with and are cared for by our foster families.
I'm Heather, along with my partner Chris. We've fostered 2 working dogs, Ross, who recently graduated, and we currently foster Sage. We are both out of the house for 12 to 13 hours a day, and we did not feel like that was fair to have our own dog and keep them kenneled all that time, so this program has been perfect for us. Our foster dogs are able to come to school and learn, and then for the weekends and evenings we're able to have puppies to cuddle with.
Our dogs are very work hard, play hard. When they're here, they're focused on their training, but when they get home at the end of the day, these dogs are just as snuggly, playful, and cuddly as every other dog. The Working Dog Center provides all information and supplies necessary to be successful. You can apply to be a full-time foster where the commitment is 12 to 18 months, or a backup foster where the commitment is minimum of 6 months. We have an amazing foster community that we can't thank enough. They help us to train and raise our working dogs that go on to save the world. Please reach out to Penn Vet Working Dog Center if you're interested in fostering or would like to hear more information.
Thank you so much for joining us here on this inside tour of the Penn Vet Working Dog Center. We so look forward to seeing you in person sometime soon. We know that it takes incredible grit to be part of the working dog community and support these dogs, and we thank you for that support, and we thank you for your support of the Penn Vet Working Dog Center. Come out and join us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and let us know what you think. Let us know your ideas. We really want to hear what you have to say about your experience and your insights here from this tour of the Penn Vet Working Dog Center.